emanating from the President of the United States actually is conveyed?
I was proud to serve in the Biden-Harris administration, and now with the hurt being inflicted by the present administration, I'm even more proud of what we were able to do. I went to the White House from the Mayor DC, Mayor Bowser's office, and I recall when I first came on board, how something was emailed to me and to a group wanting our thoughts, and I didn't weigh in. I was a new kid on the block. I'm like, who am I to ask them this conversation? But then someone pinged me and said, "Did you see the statement?" I said, "Yes." "Do you have any problem with it?" I said, "No." They said, "Well, put it in the chat." And that is, not only was my opinion valued, it was expected, because I came to the White House representing a certain group, and the thought was that I knew that group better than anyone, and there wasn't going to be anything sent out with my okaying, and that, which I also understood, that if I did not weigh in and the price had to be paid, then I would have a nice little box to
They locked you in. They locked your vote in one way or the other for the archives.
Yeah.
Reverend Bowen was part of this decision. What?
Yo, he didn't say anything.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Reverend Thomas Bowen is our very special guest, General Secretary of the Progressive Baptist Convention. More when we come forward.
It's Afternoon Drive Time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
What's up? What's up? What's up? We got to laugh the pain away.
Hey, KBLA delegation, happy Black History Month. Around here, we celebrate our culture, our community, and our contributions daily. But this year, as we observe the 100th anniversary of Black History Month celebrations, we're excited about our annual KBLA Talk 1580 Black History Month Luncheon, honoring comedy greats. On Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum in downtown LA, we're toasting D.L. Hughley, Melanie Camacho, Earthquake, Munell, Dion Cole, and Martin Lawrence with a surprise guest appearance. A limited number of individual tickets for the luncheon remain, so now would be a good time to head to KBLA1580.com to secure one for yourself. That's KBLA1580.com. A little laughter goes a long way, especially in times like these. So come, join us for our annual KBLA Talk 1580 Black History Month Luncheon, Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum. Again, tickets are available right now at KBLA1580.com.
Well, I hang around my boy. He's been married for 6 years. Videotaped his wedding day, never watched it. Now and every day he watch it every day, but he watch it in reverse. Because he said he loves seeing himself take that ring back off of that finger. Walking back down that aisle, just waving at her, ugly mother down the church, getting back in the limo, back at the bachelor party. Look how happy I was.
KBLA Talk 1580 thanks LA City Council members Curran D. Price Jr. and Heather Hutt for being the presenting sponsors at this year's Black History Month Luncheon. Honoring excellence, resilience, and achievement, we're KBLA Talk 1580.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with the world. African Focus Incorporated is a community-based organization whose mission is to bring Africans and African Americans together, lead charitable initiatives on the motherland, and educate people from all walks of life on the beauty, legacy, and opportunity of Africa's 54 nations. And it's that time once again when African Focus is teaming up with KBLA Talk 1580 for our 8th annual African Focus Trailblazers Tour. Travel with us in 2026 when we're headed to the southern African nations of Zambia and Botswana for a historical, cultural, and vacation tour led by me, Dominique DePrima, Cultural Ambassador for African Focus Incorporated. Enjoy luxurious accommodations, conscious fellow travelers, shopping, adventures, cultural tours, wildlife safaris, and a giant waterfall, one of the world's 7 wonders, along with a chance to be of service at an orphanage on the continent. Become an AFI trailblazer by exploring the motherland with a nonprofit organization that has members in Africa and America to help roll out the red carpet for you, and together we'll make a difference and have fun doing it. For more information, visit africanfocus.org or call 310-676-7300. That's 310-676-7300 or africanfocus.org. Whether it's stateside or exploring the diaspora, we're with you every step of the way. African Focus and KBLA Talk 1580. Come go with us.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, The Faith Not to Fall, with Reverend Teresa Horde Owens. Reverend Owens is not with us today, but she has one of her great contemporaries, Reverend Thomas Bowen, sitting in for her today. He's the General Secretary of the Progressive National Baptist Convention and nationally recognized leader in faith engagement, social justice advocacy, and community development. In addition to his national leadership, Reverend Bowen serves as assistant pastor and Earl L. Harrison Minister of Social Justice at the Shiloh Baptist Church in Washington, D.C. Reverend Bowen, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Reverend Bowen, I attended high school in Washington, D.C. between 1980 and 1984. I attended Shiloh Baptist Church. Reverend Henry C. Gregory was my pastor while I was in Washington, D.C., and it is great to know that you're at Shiloh. Wow.
Yeah, Reverend Gregory was a phenomenal individual, as was Reverend Earl L. Harrison. Before him, I had the opportunity to be brought to Shiloh under Reverend Dr. Wallace Charles Smith, who retired about a year and a half ago. But Shiloh's reputation, its history, and its current work in the Shaw community, I think is one that many of Washingtonians are well acquainted with.
Reverend Bowen, in the previous program, and I began an exploration, which I have, thanks to Tavis Smiley, a little latitude here to do on our program, an exploration into the kind of spiritual dynamics of the leadership of the nation. And the president in this regard, without getting into the more vulgar aspects of what we've witnessed from this administration. I referenced the idea that we're not just looking at a Republican here. I got a bunch of good Republican friends. Yeah. I know a lot of black peace pastors who are Republicans in the Daddy King legacy, if you will, in the tradition of Lincoln Republicanism and the early 19th and early 20th century black leadership coming out of first Reconstruction in terms of their loyalty to Abraham Lincoln. Hey, I get all of that. So I got Republican friends. We all do, right? I may be highly and overly identified with Democrats in that regard. The name like Jesse Jackson, it's all Democrat. Well, to get anything done in Washington, I learned very early on from 1995 to 2012, I need people on both sides of the aisle if I want to get a law passed. So I work with everybody. Henry Hyde, Newt Gingrich, I worked with everybody to get it done. But I'm thinking, Pastor Bowen, when I think about what's taking place in our White House, without calling his name, Legion, a multiple spirits that find themselves in a single person. That from the Epstein files to personal hygiene to the tweets about the Obamas to lack of care and concern for Alex Preddy and Nicole Renee Good. When I look at his disposition and demeanor and the ways in which this spirit or multiplicity of spirits present themselves on a daily basis, not looking at the man, the Republican, but in the realm of spirit, I can't think of anything that Aubrey Hendricks that has said that's clearer than we have to simply call the demon by name, and I think we're looking at Legion.
Yeah, and I got to back up to what you were saying because people don't understand, particularly when it comes to the history of our nation. It was my mentor, Mary Ellerman, who told me we don't have friends in politics. We just have interests. She said that at a time when there were members of the family of Lloyd Benson on the board of trustees, and Kennedy, Senator Kennedy, was working with Lloyd Benson on behalf of children. I'm from Ohio, Elyria, Ohio, Lorain County, outside of Cleveland. When the attacks were made in Ohio and Springfield by the Haitians, I saw to it when I was in the White House to make my way, to meet with the political leaders, to meet with Haitians and others. And when it came to standing up for Haitians, although there were two national Republicans who wanted to demonize them, it was the Republican governor of Ohio that stood up. A person with he and his wife had built schools in Haiti. There were Republicans in county administration that stood up. So it's not always everyone, which is also why we don't give people a pass. And I think Dr. King pointed us in a certain direction. It's not about the party sometimes, it's about who is silent. And our friends can be silent. You don't speak up. Those become our, if we were to have enemies, those are the enemies, ones who are silent. And God be with me on those times when I am silent. And this is not a time for silent individuals. This is a time to speak up and to show up. When I think of the legions, the theologian in me begins to think about there being too many, right? There's so many things that are going on, so many things to combat right now. We talk about the spirit aspect. We know that we are engaged in currently is spiritual warfare, right? And in addition to all the other things, but we cannot be mistaken, and that is we're not outnumbered. I still believe there's enough good people in the world to turn and right this thing around. I cannot psychoanalyze those who fail to raise their voice, but I do believe change is going to come. I don't understand people who won't do their job with the fear of losing their job. That just befuddles me. But midterms are coming.
I think that's right, Rimbo. And I think that it couldn't be more appropriately expressed than when you said that it's so many things that are coming at us from so many directions, all emanating from seemingly a single source, would suggest that one person can have within them these multiple spirits.
Yes.
And these multiple spirits, I was sharing with our previous host that, I mean, if you or I, for the sum of our lives, were able to project ourselves forward into some distant future that we may never live to see, we've worked hard to try and define what that interpretation would be. We put our best foot forward, and some of us keep our private lives private so that it doesn't get in the way with the eternity that we want to identify with 1,000 years from now, when they dig up Jesse Jr. and they dig up Reverend Thomas Bowen and say, here lived a great man. That's what we want to be known for, right? But when it comes to Legion, Legion is not known for any one thing.
Right.
It's except for dismantling, destruction, spreading disease, a foul odor, foul smell, virility, a greed, um, uh, 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 um, what is this word I'm looking for? Retribution, anger, vengeance. Almost every conceivable deadly sin is represented in Legion, but Legion is just one person spreading it all.
Right. And all this in one person. I used to use the imagery of when you have one of the isms in the car. If racism in the car, sexism is in the back seat.
Yeah, yeah.
Phobia is on the passenger seat. They're all in one. And I also think that of all the cocktails, the one drink. Yeah, I'm a preacher talking about cocktails. The one that is perhaps the worst is a mixture of ignorance and racism. And so that hits that lesion aspect, all these things wrapped up in one, which and we saw them all played out last week with the posting of our beloved Barack and Michelle and all the different excuses, which let us know about all the different reasons why a person would do that. And that points to that they're lesions.
Yes.
So much they can just pick any excuse because they're all at work in that example, in that case and situation.
You know, in this moment, I'm thinking about, and I hadn't given it much thought because I did preach about it myself during the 97th commemoration of Dr. King's birth this past January 15th through the 20th, where we celebrate that period. When he talks about in Beyond Vietnam, the triple evils of racism, militarism, and poverty, racism, militarism, and poverty. When he talks about these triple evils, he's talking about Legion, isn't he?
Yeah,
I mean, he's saying that all of these things can be in a nation, and all of these things can also be in an individual. Unless we're cognizant of what each of them represents, we, in effect, even on our best day, begin to project a spirit energy that is inconsistent with the beloved community.
And those three things have been weaponized. Weaponized towards the same the capitalism, right? On the backs of those who find themselves in poverty. And then the militarism, we see that not across the water, but on the streets of America.
That's exactly what we see. I want to ask you a question, because these are difficult times, even for men and women in the clergy. As General Secretary of the Baptist Convention, have you observed the behavior of pastors? Are they strong in this period, or do you sense that they too find themselves in struggle? That's the nature of the ministry, by the way. We have highs and lows.
Yeah.
But are they an interpretive struggle as well with what we're looking at?
I think that the sense among us as Progressive National Baptist Convention can be summed up in what I heard throughout the process that brought me to the position that I'm in, and that is such a time as this. Because the Progressive National Baptist Convention, founded in 1961 by Dr. King, Earl Harrison, and others, was brought at a time when there were some pastors, believe it or not, Black pastors, who thought that Dr. King's involvement in the civil rights movement was too much.
Like Joseph Jackson here in Chicago on 31st and King Drive.
You called him out, I didn't. And so this is what we were built for. This is how we came into existence as Progressive National Baptist Convention. It's so much going on that we're not at a loss at what to preach on Sunday morning and then what to address. So I think that if there are any folk who are prepped for this moment, it's those persons within the Progressive National Baptist Convention, because this is why we were founded in the first place.
Reverend Bowen, when we come forward on our show, I'd like you to make the distinction for us, or share with us the distinction between, let's say, the Southern Baptists, the National Baptist Convention, the Progressive Baptists, why Dr. King chose to break away and set in motion a new generation of preachers who could, as the songwriter wrote, rise to the present age. Woe may all my powers be engaged to do the master's will. Yeah. And many of them were still in Exodus They were still in Exodus when Dr. King was arguing that the gospel is now bringing us good news for our own liberation. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our very special guest is Reverend Thomas Bowen. He's the General Secretary of the Progressive National Baptist Convention and a nationally recognized leader in faith engagement, social justice advocacy, and community empowerment. I'm grateful that he is our guest, filling in for Reverend Teresa Horde Owens on the Faith Not to Fall. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward with Reverend Thomas Bowen.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who is black, says Democrats will block President Trump's push to nationalize elections.
This is going to be a free and fair election. It's going to be conducted like every other election.
Jeffries told CNN the president is trying to undermine elections, responding to Trump's comments that the federal government should step in if states can't run elections fairly. Senator Marsha Blackburn is calling for an investigation into Black Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson after she attended the Grammy Awards where her memoir, Lovely One, was nominated. Blackburn says the appearance raises ethical concerns and has asked Chief Justice John Roberts to review the matter. And Paramount has set a release date for Tiana Taylor's directorial debut, Get Light, starring and produced by Storm Reed. The film follows a sheltered dance student who finds inspiration and love in unexpected places. The movie hits theaters April 9th, 2027. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The winning streak for the UCLA women's basketball team, the number 2 team in the country, is up to 17. Before Sunday's Super Bowl, UCLA held on for a 69-66 win at number 8 Michigan. Bruins center Lauren Betts had 16 points, 16 rebounds, and 3 block shots. Sunday's victory was the 9th win for the Bruins this season over a top 25 team. We're 4 days away from the start of NBA All-Star Weekend in Inglewood. The festivities jump off Friday night with the NBA's HBCU Classic. The men's basketball teams from Hampton and North Carolina A&T will meet up at the Forum. 8 p.m. tip-off. More on the HBCU Classic throughout the week here on KBLA. The All-Star Game is Sunday at the Intuit Dome. Lakers star Luka Doncic has been ruled out of tonight's home game against Oklahoma City. This is the 3rd straight game the NBA's leading scorer will be sidelined with a hamstring injury. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with the world. African Focus Incorporated is a community-based organization whose mission is to bring Africans and African Americans together, lead charitable initiatives on the motherland, and educate people from all walks of life on the beauty, legacy, and opportunity of Africa's 54 nations. And it's that time once again when African Focus is teaming up with KBLA Talk 1580 for our 8th annual African Focus Trailblazers Tour. Travel with us in 2026 when we're headed to the Southern African nations of Zambia and Botswana for a historical, cultural, and vacation tour led by me, Dominique DePrima, Cultural Ambassador for African Focus Incorporated. Enjoy luxurious accommodations, conscious fellow travelers, shopping, adventures, cultural tours, wildlife safaris, and a giant waterfall, one of the world's 7 wonders, along with a chance to be of service at an orphanage on the continent. Become an AFI trailblazer by exploring the motherland with a nonprofit organization that has members in Africa and America to help roll out the red carpet for you, and together we'll make a difference and have fun doing it. For more information, visit africanfocus.org or call 310-676-7300. That's 310-676-7300 or africanfocus.org. Whether it's stateside or exploring the diaspora, we're with you every step of the way. African Focus and KBLA Talk 1580. Come go with us.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on the Faith Not to Fall. Our normal contributor, Reverend Dr. Terry Hord Owens, General Minister and President of the Disciples of Christ Church, is not with us, but in her stead, Reverend Thomas Bowen, the General Secretary of the Progressive National Baptist Convention, is our very special guest. Reverend Bowen, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Reverend Bowen, not all black preachers are the same.
Thank God.
We might look out there and see them all as the same, but they're not all the same. Can you share with us the major conventions and what makes the Progressive Convention so different?
Yeah, not only are not all preachers the same and churches aren't the same, not all denominations. And when people hear the word Baptist, they often assume it's one church and one tradition. And I'm sure you get this, are always being told by folk what I'm supposed or not supposed to do or stand for as a Baptist. Those famous words, I thought you were Baptist. Well, for this particular conversation, as we find ourselves in Black History Month, I wanted to distinguish between two, knowing that there are many. Wyatt T. Walker said, Black folk defy the law of mathematics, they multiply by dividing. Well, it was in 1961, at the height of the civil rights movement, that Dr. King and other Black leaders helped to form the Progressive National Baptist Convention. They did it because the church that they loved was not fully standing with the movement they believed that God had called them to lead. There were many leaders, not all, but many in the National Baptist Convention who are uneasy with marches, boycotts, and public protests. They don't take all of that. Not everyone opposed civil rights, but too many wanted quiet faith instead of public witness. And Dr. King believed that silence was not neutrality, that silence was complicity. So the PNBC was born as a home church that believed that faith and justice belong together. And it gave Dr. King and others a home. They broke out of the National Baptist Convention, which is the largest historic Black Baptist body even to this day. And it has done enormous good in education and missions and community life. I have many fellow clergy who are part of that, and parts of people within Shiloh. My church, Break Bread with National Baptist Convention, where we have a tri-affiliation with PNBC because of our involvement in this founding, with the National Baptist Convention, as well as American Baptists. But they were in the civil rights movement. There was a deep division about protest and political engagement, and PNBC emerged from that tension. Now, there's also the Southern Baptist Convention, and it's a horse of a whole different color altogether. No pun intended. It was founded in 1845 to defend slavery and later oppose desegregation and the civil rights movement. I think some years ago they issued an apology, but that history matters because theology always shapes public policy.
Yes.
But we at PNBC understand this, that we exist because Black Christians refuse to choose between faith and freedom. We exist because Dr. King believed the gospel should disturb unjust systems. And it exists because the church had to decide whether it would be a shelter from the storm or a force that calms it. And PNBC chose to stand, and that choice still speaks today.
You know, I grew up going to the National Baptist Convention, and to hear Donald Parsons preach at the midnight service and Reverend Jasper Williams. And as a young man, I had met and had known Caesar Clark and so many Black preachers from the National Baptist Convention, who even to this day are some of the most senior, however conservative, preachers that have ever preached the gospel. But it is the Progressive Baptist Convention, founded by Dr. King and Wyatt T. Walker, by the way, who I traveled with my father to Syria to rescue Lieutenant Robert Goodman. And he wrote a book when he returned called The Road to Damascus, Damascus, Syria. And that process, I sure miss Wyatt T. He would be amazing in this hour.
Yes.
But in the Progressive Baptist Convention, were these thinkers, these James Bevels and Lawson. These guys were over here in the convention. But they were serious about on earth as it is in heaven, and not the otherworldly by and by situation. And to this day, Jeremiah Wright and some of these young cats that are out here are very, very serious. And we hear more. You talk about the silence of our friends. We hear more from your convention than we do from, let's say, the far more conservative ones, which sometimes find themselves at Trump functions.
Yeah, it was a pastor in our convention, Dr. Jamal Bryant, who took Target to task, right? And helped to lead that particular boycott. We have a deep bench. Raphael Warnock, Reverend Senator Raphael Warnock.
Absolutely.
Reverend Dr. Freddie Haynes.
Yes, sir, out of Dallas, Texas.
Of that. And the list goes on. Reverend Jackie Thompson, who's in Oakland, California.
He succeeded Reverend Alfred Smith.
Yes. We have some young preachers coming through. Reverend Dr. Willie Francois, who's just dynamite. And so we continue to hold up the bloodstained banner. Thankful for our president, Dr. David Peoples, making sure that remains a cornerstone of what PNBC stands for. And I think in some cases, particularly in this moment, there are many who are looking toward us, and we're able to produce some tools and resources that we're sharing with other, particularly predominantly Black Baptist denominations, they can use as they continue to educate their congregation.
I'm particularly impressed with this crop of, and I hate to refer to them as a crop, but these shepherds who are emerging in the Progressive Baptist Convention, because there seems to be also the understanding that when I think about Charles Jenkins, for example, at Fellowship Baptist Church, and how Reverend Clay Evans from the convention transitioned while he was alive the church to Jenkins, who's now transitioned the church to Reginald Sharp, and just how bright these guys are and how committed they are. When I think about James Meeks over at Salem Baptist Church transitioning his church to Charlie Dates, and I think about, Jeremiah Wright. With Moss the Third, he speak truth to power and bring a witness to our tradition that no one can accuse them of being afraid. No one can accuse them of being scared. They come with them.
And Chicago's done a wonderful job. I attended divinity school at the University of Chicago. That's what Teresa and I, that's where we first met. I was at Third Baptist Church. There on the south side.
Holy Road.
Yes, yeah.
95th and Evergreen Park, right out there.
Over Ashland, but that the way that the gospel continues to be preached in Chicago, the way there are always these successors that they come around, it's a wonderful thing, and I believe that when it comes to what people all over Chicagoland are having to fight, is because some of these churches have been there for quite some time.
Reverend, when we come forward, I want to discuss a couple of contemporary issues. And at the end of the next segment, the top of the show, I leave 3 minutes for a word of hope from our special guest. But I'd like to talk about ICE. I'd like to talk about what's going on in Minneapolis, cover some of the issues that are taking place in Los Angeles and around the country. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our very special guest is Reverend Thomas Bowen, the General Secretary of the Progressive National Baptist Convention. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's tax time, y'all. If you want to file free, this next one's for you.
Now taxes is so free. Tax free edition only. Roughly 37% of filers qualify. Simple form 1040 returns only. Now this is tax.
Love that jam. Up next, commercials.
Intuit TurboTax free edition. See if you qualify at turbotax.com/free. No schedules except for earned income tax credit, child tax credit, student loan interest, and Schedule 1A.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like nuclear reactor safety expert.
I disabled the backup cooling system. It was making such an annoying noise. You heard it, right? It was like,
We're on a countdown to core failure.
And you're saying we don't want that?
This is a job for sponsored jobs.
This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
Not everything announces itself. Some things simply arrive, and the room is compelled to adjust. This is grooming without apology, without noise, without compromise. Gods and money, organic formulations, clean precision, crafted for skin that does not ask for permission to be felt. Element Cream, a rare hydration layered like an oud at dusk, measured, enduring, unmistakably masculine, moisturizing oil, a quiet revolution, restoring what stress, climate, and time attempts to claim. This is not skincare. It is composure made visible. It is inevitability. Gods and money exist impeccably. Discover the ritual at godsandmoney.com. That's Gods and Money, MONY.com.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Our very special guest, Reverend Thomas Bowen, is the General Secretary of the Progressive Baptist Convention and a nationally recognized faith leader in social engagement, social justice advocacy, and community empowerment. Reverend Bowen, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Now, I'm not suggesting that there aren't other ministers in other denominations who do speak out, who are relevant, but by and large, we actually have within our tradition an entire convention of people whose job it is to speak out, and they tend to come from the Progressive Baptist Convention. Why don't we play round robin here for a moment? The Progressive Baptist Convention on the question of ICE and federal enforcement of immigration in the cities. Professor Bowen?
Yeah, and people have asked me about my views on what's happening in Minnesota. And I'm reminded of what happened in Ferguson when people made their way to Ferguson to help out in good faith. Someone said that if you have not marched down the street in your own community, then we don't need you here. You need to go back to your own community. Some time for solidarity. I only mention that because there have been ICE in Washington D.C. as well. And our message as people of faith, this is when we have to build coalitions. This is what your father taught us with the Rainbow Coalition, right? That we come together with our mutual interests. And I've been fortunate to be a part, and we at the Progressive National Baptist Convention, I've been part of a group that's come together that under the banner of Praying with Our Feet, organized by Faith in Action. The National Council of Churches is at the table, Sojourners, Baptist Joint Fellowship. We have Muslim brothers and Jewish brothers and sisters as a part of that. And we are clear. And that is that from our point of view, any life that is taken by agents of the state, especially without clear accountability, it raises some very crucial and urgent moral questions about the rule of law, about justice, and about the sanctity of life for those who claim to be pro-life. But as a people of faith, we believe that every person is made in what Marvin Buber calls the Imago Dei, the image of God, deserving dignity, fairness, and protection. and nothing made by God is illegal.
Mm.
Pray for justice, and we fight for justice.
Amen.
We don't just seek justice; we chase it. We chase a justice that is transparent, that is rooted in the truth. For those grieving families who lost loved ones, for children who find themselves scared and afraid to go to school. It even worked its way into, as I was listening to the previous segment about the preacher Bad Bunny canceling his tour to protect those families, and all the rumors around that folk were gonna actually gonna make their way to Santa Clara Super Bowl looking for folk to arrest. But this is the time that we come together. There's tremendous leadership on the ground there in Minneapolis, Minnesota, that we link arms with. And we've been having protests here in D.C., and we're going to Congress again under that banner, We Pray With Our Feet, on Thursday. But we have to come together, those who believe that their life is sacred.
Reverend, before we get to your word of hope, I do want to raise this question. In the other conventions, there's always been this division between the heart and the treasury. And then we hear Martin Luther King Jr. in the I Have a Dream speech saying that America has issued us a bad check. It has come back marked insufficient funds. In this convention, it's been my experience that the progressives keep their eye on what the budget is, what the priorities are, and then the engagement comes from, you're saying this about justice, you're saying that about fairness, you're saying this about human rights, but your budget doesn't reflect it. Help us with that, Pastor.
And once again, I learned that at the feet of my mentor, Mirai Ellerman, working at the Children's Defense Fund, and she told us that the budget is a moral document.
Yes.
If you want to know what a people believe, look at the money. And we know we value military, right? But we need to value children as well. It'd be a great day, someone wrote, when the military, when children and education have all the money they need, and the military will have to have a bake sale. That's when it'll be a good day. But that's our way in. And if you don't have a degree in economics, all you need to know is that one rubric, right? That the budget is a moral document. Simply saying you see where most of the money is going to, and then you will see our values, and we can upright that ship, right.
And that's really, Reverend Bowen, where Dr. King was. He said, wait a minute now, I'm in Beyond Vietnam. He says, listen, there's a moment of hope here where we're actually funding poverty programs. We're actually funding desegregation. There's a moment of hope here where civil rights means something. There's a moment of hope here. And then all of a sudden we woke up one day and the same people that were on our side for these programs are now moving money from these programs to Vietnam. And I can no longer remain silent, because the resources that we need to fix these problems here at home are now fighting and killing peasants in villages in Vietnam, and I cannot remain silent.
Right.
And so the moral document to which you speak, every generation has to look at that budget and then juxtapose it against the inconsistencies of the gospel on the ground. Reverend Bowen, we have about 3 minutes before we come forward. The final 3 minutes of our program is all yours for your word of hope to the nation. We have a hard stop at the top of the hour.
Yeah, we have to have hope. That is hope and faith are our superpowers. And there are folk who want us to lose our faith and our hope. There's a reason why churches were bombed and burned. Those were our hope centers. They were so valuable to us. But there's a reckoning coming, and we're not in this fight alone. I know that God has not brought us thus far to leave us, and we have not come this far to turn around. The thing that folk want us to do is to give up, but we're not going to give up. We're going to continue to fight and be even strong. There is hope. We see the number of guard and ICE agents being reduced in Minnesota. There is hope. We see what recent elections have yielded. There is hope. There is hope because we've been here before, not at this level, but we've been here before. And Shakespeare said that all that's past is prologue. And we can make it if we stick together. That we can't allow these artificial arguments to divide us. We have too many sideline issues that continue to divide us, and quite frankly, I speak to the concerns that unite us. And we have to be well aware that's one of the oldest tricks in the book, and that is to divide us and that's by the people who have so much to lose. We are the ones whose hands and whose feet took to the street to say they ain't gonna let nobody turn us around. We are the ones who continued every time that we found ourselves in a moral crisis, because this is not the first time, that we were the ones who continued to stand arm in arm. All the things and footages we see of the civil rights movement, those things have a meaning. That linking our arms is just because we know that we can make it if we continue to stick together.
Reverend Bowen, thank you for your word of hope, and thank you for being on our show.
Thank you.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. I want to thank Crystal Overton, Ann Munoz, Nam Soo Young, Grandmaster Nam Soo Young, my martial arts instructor, for being in our listening chat today. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
KBLA 15.